So I was scrolling through TikTok a couple of days ago, and I typically follow a few people that have that are really educated about weight loss, and there's a few coaches, some people that are really in the know of movement, and of course I have my little contribution when it comes to weight loss, specifically to do with later in life, because that's when I started. Now while I was scrolling, I saw this doctor. She has a TikTok called, I think it was, what is it called? This Way Doctor, and her name is Dr. Jenna. And she raised a question which I wanted to focus on today's discussion because I think it's very, very important to address. So she said, if a treatment was 80%, it had an 80% failure, would you, as a care provider, suggest that treatment? In other words, if it worked 20% of the time, would you continue to recommend it? And it gave me pause, specifically to do with the fact that if I put my nurse hat on, I would not endorse anything that would be 20% effective and 80% failure. So with that in mind, obesity should, someone coming in, like a doctor coming in and saying, you need to do this, you should diet, and then you should move, just that would not be reasonable if most of the time it fails. Which was a little bit of a eureka moment for me, because honestly, that was basically part of most of my life. It was the failure aspect of it. What changed, what was difference between what used to work before and what used to work now? It's a couple of things, and I think that's what I will address. First, the exercise. So most of my life, I focused on exercise as running, dancing, and walking, and doing things that would be, expenditure of, more calories. Never really understanding that that's actually not what exercise is intended to. As I talked on Tuesday's video, exercise should be embraced in the presence and to enjoy and to love, but not necessarily to spend more calories and therefore eat more calories. At the end of the day, when all is said, is the movement during the day that is more added value towards calories than the actual exercise itself. So movement is for the sake of function. So what happened before is because I engaged in that, and I actually never really engaged in weight training or using weights. So for me and my body, it was for me, it actually worked better, because at that time, when I started embracing weight training, I never took it as to spend calories, but more to increase muscle. So that's the exercise piece. And once I actually got that, I started to see changes in my body that were not really even related to weight. Weight somehow naturally came down, but what I have observed that my body composition was changing to allow what I was doing, which is either glutes or working on abs or working on arms. And that's what the changes I saw, which I continue because I was seeing there was changes. Now, when I now talk about food, what had changed is that before, whenever I used to go into diet, I was focused on the diet, and let's do the keto diet, or let's do the this diet, then let's not eat bread, let's not, or I will calorie count. And it never really addressed I never really addressed the inherent problem of why I was binge or I was using food as an emotional band-aid. It wasn't until I actually addressed that a lot of the weight came off. Not all, because at one point when I started at the beginning, the first probably 50 pounds out of the 100 that I lost was all emotional eating. But once I saw the 50 pounds come off, I started focusing on more calorie counting and more keeping track. But before that, I didn't track and I didn't count. It was more addressing the issues with therapy. Yes, I would talk to somebody and address each and every single issue that I had at the time. Now, keep in mind that when I was actually doing all this healing, there were never like I stopped binge. What I did is I reduced it to the point where then it becomes less and less and less and less and less, right? But issues continue to be issues. It's all a process. So going back to what the doctor said, Dr. Jenna said, it's like, really 80% of all explorative obese treatments that are just naturally holistic, natural in terms of you just do the diet and then move, fail. Why? Because we're approaching exercise and we're approaching diet in a way that is not inclusive of our lives or enhances our lives or even addresses the issues that are inherently that actually prevent us from changing our lives, right? So then she brought up, of course, the Ozempic situation, the injectables, which I think they're wonderful because they work. My only concern, of course, is the fact that when you lose weight, you lose muscle. It's not discriminative, you just lose weight. I think that in terms when we're talking about the older adult, it is imperative that the preservation of muscle is intact versus the loss of weight in general, because at the end of the day, for example, this couch, what you want to do is be able to get up and down with yourself by yourself, and there needs to be muscle preservation and the adjoining muscles need to be intact in order for you to continue to do that into your 80s, 90s. That's why I bring up Dr. Attia, which does have a YouTube also, so I would encourage you to seek all this information there as well. But that's basically the main goal of why we want to engage in exercise and diet, and also be able to have the odds increased by just not taking the medication, which is effective. Ozempic and Wegovy, they're effective, but having that medication be used as a tool for us to engage into those behavioral changes that allow us to have, like, for example, so what I am trying to say is Ozempic is not a band-aid. At the end of the day, you have to talk about or address the inherent problems, and that 80-20 I think is so individual that there has to be a full exploration of the reasons why you do what you do, right? So I used to deal with my emotional issues in that manner. So Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this informative video, and I wish you